Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Chris. This is my Bloodborne playthrough. I'm ready. This episode is filled with facts. Facts that I'm calling facts only because I'm making shit up as we talk. No, there's all, little speculation, little item lore, little lore in general. Bunch of that kind of thing going on. Right now I was looking to see if I bought the Ludwig holy sword, but apparently I don't have it, so I'm gonna end up going and grabbing it right here real quick. I had a viewer who wanted me to use it some, so I'm gonna try it out. I used it in my with my other character. It's a pretty fun weapon. Once you level it up, I kind of mess up here though here in a second. I'll get to the lore in a second, guys, but yeah, you'll see where I mess up if you don't catch it. Let me just tell you right now what happens is I end up getting it. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good. I know how to use this weapon. I've used it on my other guy. And then I went into the game, or I went into the nightmare, and I forgot to gem it. So I leveled it up, I fortified it, but then I forgot to put gems in it. So I was hitting these guys as I was playing. In my mind, I was just like, why isn't this doing a lot of damage? I was like, I know this does way more damage than this. And I kept going through it and going like, I don't know. And then it didn't dawn on me until I came back here the second time in this episode. You'll see I come back here and I'm like, oh, that's right, I forgot to put gems in it. So this episode is the biggest disclaimer to that gemming weapons. It does affect its damage by quite a bit. So you're gonna see that difference in here as I play. Also, real quick right here before I get into there, I kind of show off the moveset. I show off all the R1 attacks, the R2 attacks, the jump back R2s, all the goodies right here. You'll see it. That sword right there and that stance is very, very nice. It's super quick. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but once you gem it up, and actually you'll see here later on that usually with about one full combo you can take down most enemies. Not all enemies, not some of the bigger ones like the pigs and stuff, but most human-sized enemies will go down by that. That's really it. And then it has a great thrust attack. It's trick attack. Charge attack is a thrust also, and it does a ton of damage. The great sword is a blunt weapon, so if you gem it for more blunt damage, you'll get more damage out of its blunt attack, which is the great sword. And I believe the pierce is when you actually stab it like that. So it does actually have a stab move too, but the main damage that comes from it by swinging it around is actually blunt damage, if I remember correctly. So you can gem it to do a ton of damage if you got one gem that raises just blunt damage. And then in its trick form, you'll see. I think I do that later when I do gem it. I decide to go with the extra blunt damage on it because I do like this stance. It has a great move set, so definitely check it out and use it if you can. The other good thing about it is at plus 10, it is A rank in arcane. So if you are an arcane build and you want to put like a fire gem in this or a bolt gem or arcane gem, then definitely go for it because it can do some crazy amounts of damage later on if you're basically an arcane build. Otherwise, it's a B stat, I believe, in strength and skill, so it's still a very good weapon either way. It's very good. Just try it out, check it out. I use it a little bit in here. Actually, I think I beat the boss that I fight, Mergo's wet nurse. I beat it with this weapon. But like I said, at first I was very confused because I was like, what the hell? Why am I not doing a lot of damage? So anyways, now that we're done with that and you see me jerking around with this sword, you're going to see me use it here in a minute as I go back in. We're going to talk, first of all, the mistake that I've made in previous episodes. Like I say, I talk about stuff because I talk about the way I see it, because I haven't beat the game yet, so I don't know. But as I was going through it, I was saying the lecture hall wasn't part of Bergenworth, but the achievement screen decided to throw that back in my face. And if you go to the achievements, I think once you reach the lecture hall, you get an achievement, and I believe the achievement is called Bergenworth Lecture Hall. So that right there means that it is part of Bergenworth. I don't know where or how, but apparently it is. I don't know if it was ripped out of real world into the dream or whatnot. However you want to explain that, you can, but apparently it is. And that's fine. It's still, the notes in there still seem to be like notes from students. You see the students all wandering around made of jelly. And the question is now is who are they waiting for? For a while I thought, since it wasn't what I thought wasn't part of Bergenworth, I was thinking that the professor was the guy, Mikolash, maybe, that's a bunch of speculation, you don't really know. But now the students are in that classroom now. Who are they waiting for? Is it Willem? well, I don't. If Willem's the leader of Bergenworth, if he's the provost of Bergenworth, then I don't see him actually teaching classes. Now, this doesn't mean that presidents of colleges don't do that, but they're very unlikely to, right? And I would say so even in this world, just like, you know, you're too busy doing other things to be teaching classes. Doesn't mean you can't show your face or anything like that, but it just means you're not regularly teaching classes. So who are they waiting for? Could it be Lawrence, right? There's a note in there in that place that they talk about Lawrence, about how he was the one that called upon the moon essence or whatever in the note. And is it them waiting for him to come back? Because he left. Remember, he just left them. So, and remember, we kind of still really don't know what the whole idea behind that was, but we do know that he did do that. So maybe that's who they're waiting for, or just maybe some random person. Who knows? There's nothing. There's just speculation there, but it does make a point to mention that they're waiting for someone. So I think it's kind of cool just to think about who could that be. Lawrence kind of makes cool sense, but then again, if they're yeah, like this is Bergenworth, so I mean it could make sense like that. Possibly, who knows? Because he would probably have time, right? If he's just some guy, he may be up there with Willem, but he might be just some dude at first. He could be a professor there. That might make more sense than Willem doing it, but like I said, you never know who he's waiting. We don't really know. There's just all speculation going there, and it, to be honest, it doesn't have, I don't think, too much to do with the lore. So have fun with that one. Trying to figure that out. I don't think it makes too big a deal, but it's just fun to think about. But what the one thing that it does is it makes, okay, so you're at the Unseen Village. You get through it. You kill the one unborn, or the one reborn. Sorry. And then you touch that guy who has his menses cage around his head, which, for all intents and purposes, right now I'm thinking is Mikolash. They kind of have the same dress, but you never know. It may not exactly be Mikolash, and if it was, then what Mikolash says after when he dies doesn't really make much sense. So we're going to get into a little bit about that last sentence he says. We didn't really talk about it last time. So if that's him that you touch, then when he dies, he says, "Oh no, I'm going to forget everything, and I'm going to wake up and forget everything." Right? Well, that doesn't. Like, you're dead, dude. You're not gonna wake up, right? That's the way. I'm like, you're not gonna wake up at all. So either he doesn't understand how much time has gone by, or that's not him who we go into. It's really unclear who that person is that we actually enter, and we get these visions. Because Mikolash could have been someone else who just entered this dream through the same way. There's a lot of conjecture, I guess you could say, about who exactly that. Now it could be. Like I said, all intents and purposes, let's just say it is Mikolash, right? Let's say that he doesn't understand how much time has gone by since he's been in his nightmare. He's gone crazy, remember? But he does say that he's going to wake up and forget everything. So that tells me that the people in this dream world, or the people in this world, that aren't affected by the moon presence, or, well, I'm saying the moon presence right now, but aren't affected by the hunter's dream, when they die, they disappear from the dream and they wake up in the real world. I mean, that's I think you see that somewhere else too. I'm not 100%. Oh, yeah, I don't know if you see that anywhere else yet, but he kind of hints to that. And I'm trying to think if there was. I couldn't think of anything. But he kind of hints towards that. That's kind of what happens when you die in this world, for real. But since we're part of the hunter's dream, for some reason, every time we die, we just get resurrected, right? And, you know, and then there's the gameplay mechanics, all about the blood echoes and all that stuff. The blood echoes are very interesting because I like the word echo. Makes me think of like a long time ago. Like, I don't know, like something, like an echo. What is an echo, right? Is when you talk and something, or sound reverberates off in a distant object, right? So in this case, blood echoes is blood off of a distant object, or, you know, blood off a long, old object, you know, kind of things like that. And as you make your progress finally in the game, the doll tells you that, hey, your presence is soothing. I can feel all the ancient echoes in your blood. So this blood that you're gathering, or these quote-unquote souls, I'm just using that term because that's what I'm used to saying. I'm not saying that they're related to souls or anything like that, but it's stuff from the ancients, right? But they never say who the ancients are. Do they mean ancient great ones? Or the ancients, like you find out in the chalice, the ancients are like the Thumerians. The Thumerians seem to be a really old race. And we'll talk some more about that also in this episode, because we kind of meet one, or what right now assumes to be one. and that's the white lady, the ghost lady. She seems to be of a Thumerian descent, and that's because you end up fighting her once you go through all the challenges, which I fought her in my other character. The other character goes as far as this character, but I've been using him to go into the dungeons more instead of this character. So it's funny because he's actually higher level than this guy now. If you go to the chalice dungeons, once you hit the Loron dungeons, like level, if you hit like depth 4 and 5 in the dungeons, then you start getting like a crap ton of blood echoes, and the enemies there aren't really that tough. Like, I mean, they kind of throw you into maybe traps and tricks and stuff like that, but they give you a shit ton of blood echoes. So if you want a good way to level up, just kind of go through those parts of a dungeon and just kind of keep messing around in those areas, and you'll get, I mean, there were areas where I was at like 180,000 blood echoes, and I was just running through an area. I wasn't even like, it wasn't like me hoarding anything. It was just like, that's what I collected as I was getting to that level's boss. So just keep that in mind. You need to level up, and you want a quicker way. Just get to those depths in dungeons. I don't think it matters if you're using a Thumerian chalice or any of the chalices, Isis chalice or whatever. Any of them will work. Just you got to be at that depth. That depth is what starts making the enemies a lot harder. So don't think the enemies are super easy. You have to be at a decent level. I was like level 70 or 80 when I started doing that with my other character, and it got him up there pretty high. So like I said, but he hasn't beaten the game yet, which is it's just really funny that he's so much higher level than this guy. Anyways, back to but yeah, those dungeons, they give you lore, and at the end of the chalice, I believe really, I think the last one you can get that isn't a root chalice, or I think it's a cursed one. You fight the Thumerian. The name of the boss is Yharnam, Thumerian Queen, and when you fight her, you look at her and you go, oh my god, this is the exact same person we've seen throughout the game now. Well, not throughout the game. We've seen once now, but we'll see twice in a second. Is the ghost lady who has her hands buckled, and you'll see that in a minute when I get a good close-up look of her. She has her hands like buckled in the middle, because at first it looks like she's praying, but she actually just has her hands tied, like latched together. So she's some kind of prisoner for some reason, right? She has her hands tied up. And in the dungeon, she's the same way. When you fight her, her hands are like that. But as you fight her, she snaps out of it. All her movesets are based off blood. Like, none of them are arcane. So that kind of makes me think she's off the basis of blood, right? The whole idea about blood and the plague of beasts and things like that. So it seems like that's what she uses. And that's kind of her in general, right? There's not much more you can say. She drops an item called Yharnam Stone, which is a very weird looking item. It's like blood with looks like a baby fetus in the middle. And then let's see when you beat her, that stone says the queen lies dead, but her horrific consciousness is only asleep, and it stirs in unsettling motions. So that's kind of weird that it says that she's dead, but her consciousness is not, and it's only asleep. And that it's creepy, basically, is what it's saying. So I don't know what you can really take away too much from that. She is Thumerian, and all the Thumerians in the dungeon so far aren't human-like. And the reason why I say that is they give off the perception of human, and they look mostly human, but they're bigger. They're very, very big compared to humans. And I don't know if that's just based off the way they wanted to make them look because they're bosses, or they wanted to make them look special, or they wanted you to know that they're ancient beings or something, right? You can't, because Soul games, if you look at it, like, let's take Dark Souls, and I don't like talking too much about the other games because you can't really tie them into anything here, but most of the bosses and stuff you fought in that game, they were a lot bigger than you and stuff, but you gave the excuse that they had a lot of souls in them and whatnot, whatever reasoning was behind it. You can assume that, or they were lords, or they were gods that you were fighting, whatnot, right? But it's the same way in this, that I don't think they're necessarily human, because they're a lot bigger than you. And you'll see when I walk up to the queen, she's huge compared to me, just a bigger being, more like a giant. And that just maybe that's what a Thumerian is. They're just bigger people. Even even if you look at these shadows of Yharnam, if they stand straight up, they're taller than you by like a foot. It doesn't look so much because they're always crouched and trying to hit you, but they don't look necessarily your size either. They look like they're a lot taller too. So are they part Thumerian or whatnot? Now this kind of brings me to talking about the Shadows of Yharnam, which I believe these guys are, because you fought a boss called Shadow of Yharnam. You see them before Rom, and you see them here. And I'll tell you, those are the two places before you fight two of the great ones in the game. I haven't fought, but I did fight Amygdala in the last episode, or the episode before last, and you didn't see any Shadows of Yharnam in that one. So I don't think they're guarding great ones, or they're in before great ones. I think more they're guarding the queen, or they're before where the queen's presence is, which is kind of weird to think about that. But they're Shadows of Yharnam, so they're kind of like her guard, her beings that are protecting her. But when you reach her, it's not like she's in the game, in the story of the game. She doesn't seem to be evil or she wants to hurt you. She seems to be distressed, and she seems to be worried about something constantly. And when you go into the chalice dungeon, she wants to kick your ass. So I don't know what the difference is between there and whatnot. Sometimes I think the chalice dungeon is really there to kind of, like, you know how at the end credits of, like, oh, this is gonna be a throwback, like of Doom 2, where like at the end credits it starts naming all the monsters. Throughout the whole game you don't know the name of anybody, but at the end credits of the game they show you all the monsters. You can scroll through them, and like every time you hit the button it like blows them up and whatnot. Sometimes I think that's just what the chalice dungeon is there for. It's just to show you what the name of these guys are and kind of give you hints about their heritage and stuff, but not so much from too much of a lore point, like she's attacking you because there's a reason for it. It could be. There could be a very good lore reason. Maybe it's because of what happens here at the end of this video, and that's the real her, because the other one's more of her spirit of what happened in the past. Who knows, right? There's no way to say that. But at the same time, like I said, there's a lot of things in the chalice dungeon that you don't really know the name of, or you find out maybe the true name of, and there's just different things like that. Like, for instance, the guys who suck your brain throughout the whole game, you don't really know their name throughout the whole game, but then you fight the boss of it in one of the chalice dungeons, and they call brain suckers. That's just what they're called. Like, is that the name of the enemy, and that's just the way the game to tell you the names of each of the enemies or whatnot. You also get the name of some of these pigs because you fight them a couple times. I forget what they're called as a boss. And then there are other things like the Yharnam, the Marian Queen, where you kind of get a little bit of a lore and you're like, oh, that's who that person was. But you don't get that till the very end of the chalice dungeon. So it's like, here's a really big kind of like secret we're going to give you for doing all this stuff, and this should help maybe tie in some things with the game. To me, it probably throws in more questions than anything, but I think if I sit down and really look at it, it may bring some light to stuff. But it does help understand what Yharnam is, and Yharnam, the Thumerian Queen, existed. So could the people who dug around the ruins and the labyrinth figured this out? Because they maybe understand the language a little bit more. Maybe they got to her, maybe whatnot here and there. They see her as maybe a hero. Maybe they see her as a great one herself. There's nothing that ever says the Thumerians aren't great ones in themselves. They could be great ones too, or they could have learned, because remember, they harness the power of the Eldritch Truth, and if you do that, then that necessarily means you're probably a great one in yourself. So if she died and her conscience is only asleep, that means whenever you kill these guys, you really don't kill a great one. You just kind of kill their form, but their brains are still alive, or their essence is still alive, or conscious, not necessarily their brains. And that might explain maybe Adon and his old dear, why he's formless and whatnot, is because he doesn't have a form, because he just doesn't have one. And that might be why they need babies, because they want to get forms. That's how infant great ones are born. They're not really another great one. They may be just great ones that have died and want a body to exist in. I don't know. This is all speculation. I'm making this shit up, but it makes me think. And I it's just ways to think about these things. And like I said, I don't know 100% sure. Things, like, there's a lot of ways a lot of things make sense. So, but that's one thing you could say, and that's kind of why they want their bodies. And it says that their first infants are always die, which is kind of weird, but that might mean that it's because of the hunters or whatnot, or maybe there's something killing them. It seems like the church or someone is beckoning these things, right? You always hear the word beckon or precipitate, or someone's always calling these guys out. And you get items that even say that. Like, some of the rituals look like items where you're calling these guys out to hunt them. And the bigger they are, the better the hunt. But why, right? That's the question. Why are we hunting them? What's the reasoning? And who is the one doing it? Is it the church? Is it the school of menses? Is it them, that the choir in them that want to do it? And they're doing it because they want, you know, this these chords and stuff so that they can become great ones. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? Because I don't think maybe they originally prayed to great ones hoping that that would work, but they found out that shit doesn't work. So they were like, well, we got to do something else. And it might have been a direct cause of what happened in Old Yharnam, where they realized this, because in the Old Yharnam, maybe they were first just like, oh, this blood's healing us, and we're really cool, and, you know, let's just pray to these gods. And then they found out that when you do that, and the moon turns to the right way, you know, all your women are going to get pregos. And now you're going to have a big problem, because now everyone who has the blood is going to turn into beasts if they're not smart enough. Or they don't have, I shouldn't say they're not smart enough, they don't have enough insight and knowledge about what's going on, you know, all these different things. So, and then they were like, okay, shit, we can't be messing with this stuff like this anymore. And you started studying more into what Bergen was going on, and how, you know, you fear the old blood. And they're like, well, we already effed that up. So let's figure out a way to, like, kind of become great ones ourselves, because it's the only way to stop the stuff that's going on right now. And, you know, just continuing down that thought path, you know, could maybe lead to what's going on right now, and how they think that that's going to fix stuff. Doesn't, I'm not saying that's what's going on. I want to say that right now. That's just thought processes, things that go on in my head. You notice right here, I switched the axe because I was like, that stupid sword isn't doing damage like I thought it was going to be. But that's because that's my fault. One, it's not a +10, because I think I made this axe finally +10, but the other thing is that, yeah, I didn't gem it, and gemming it, you'll see in a minute, I switched back to it after I gem it, it does it a lot more. These pigs are a lot different looking than the previous ones. They have a lot more eyeballs. Again, maybe have to deal with, when you go down to the chalice dungeons, you see bodies of pigs everywhere. It's very, very likely that when they wanted to put eyeballs on their brains, that they chose pigs as their first experimental animal to do it on, and just throw eyeballs on and see what that does. I still think it's funny that they're just like, let's just attach eyeballs to ourselves. That'll make us smarter. Like, it's just so weird. But, you know, that's the lore. That's what's been said multiple times, especially from Willem. And everybody's getting this from Willem, right? He's the first one that's like, yeah, eyeballs on the brain, higher plane. Remember that rhyme, kids. So it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that that's kind of what they started out to experiment on, and then after that they moved to humans. And this is what happened to Bergenworth, is Bergenworth went ape shit with their experiments, and it ultimately led to their downfall, was all their crazy experiments on people, and maybe ultimately Rom being created, and that kind of stopped all that there. And then Lawrence already separated, so he's over here going like, what the hell? And then they kind of delved into what the blood was, and even though he was told to fear it, maybe he thought he could conquer it, and by using maybe the cord to call upon the moon essence, blah 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 blah. You know, going down thought path is crazy, but they're like, you know, trying to find items that connect all this stuff is interesting. And you still really don't know where Gamon and the puppet and all this fits into. Now, I did see an image online actually about the puppet. You remember those ladies with the big brain heads that attacked me in the last episode, that are super hard? They have like crazy frenzy attack, and then they just want to grab you and eat your brains, looks like, pretty much. Yeah, if you look really closely, if you can, and here's the queen. There's the queen herself. Yeah, if you really look closely to those enemies, their outfits match a lot. Their outfits look a lot like the doll's outfit. So that's just something to have there as a connection. I'm not saying the doll was one of those or anything like that, but that could have been the outfit of the time of whenever that took place. Now, you get a really good close-up of this lady. Like I said, you do fight her in the dungeon. The only difference, well, I guess she does have her veil on in this one too. I didn't really actually notice that she had that over her face, but yeah, in the dungeon she has the veil on too. But you see the cuffs around her arms. Just kind of strange. Why was she cuffed? If she was the queen, if Yharnam was the queen of Thumerians, why is she cuffed up? How did that end up happening, right? So who knows? This area right here is the boss area. Now you find a very, very interesting item right here, and I am actually still trying to make sense of this because I have no idea. I sat here for like literally probably like 30 minutes trying to be like, why the hell is Iosefka's blood vial here? Like, why? what Iosefka's, or however you want to say her name. Why is this here? What the hell does her bottle? Why is her bottle of blood here? It's next to the, this is the boss area. It's coming up, and then it's next to this lady in white, the queen, Yharnam. And her blood is very interesting. It's been interesting throughout the game because you get two other blood vials, or maybe more. So far I only know of 2 more. You get one from Ariana, the pleasure woman of Yharnam, right? And then you get one from Adela, which we haven't met in this series, but she is a nun that you first see in the Unseen Village, back when you first get kidnapped and you get taken there. And if you go through it the regular way, through the storyline, you won't see her. But if you get her kidnapped and you go there, you see her cowering in fear. And I believe I saw her, but I didn't do anything with it because I didn't know what I was doing. But if you wear the church outfit and you talk to her, she like trusts you, and you get to send her to one of the safe havens. If you send her to the cathedral, if you send anyone to Iosefka's clinic, they're going to turn into blue people. So just know that right off the bat. But if you send her to, I don't know why I'm waving. Oh, I'm waving because she's gone. I was like, what? I think I was going to end the episode right there. No, the puppet was gone right there. And if that happens, sometimes she's up here at the graveyard. And I've heard that if you sneak up on her, she says something important, but I couldn't get it to happen here. And I don't know what that important thing is yet. So I'm not 100% sure if that happened. But you see her bowing at this grave. And remember, that grave was of the apprentice of Gurman. So maybe there's some connection there. Just kind of keep that in your mind. About maybe there's some little connection. I kind of take out my scope too, and I look at her because I was like, does she look like the queen? She could maybe be like a really young version of her, maybe, but I don't. That's 100% pure speculation. There's nothing that connects those two at all. I was checking out the locket, but yeah, if you look at those ladies that have the big brains, they wear the same looking outfit. It's kind of weird. I don't know, just something to think about. Not necessarily saying anything or referring to anything, just saying that's just a little weird is all. But yeah, so this is me leveling up because I have 140,000 souls, or blood echoes, and kind of just picking up. I think I'm going to level up my skill a little bit more now as I level up my vitality and endurance. Might be the first time I ever talked about exactly what I'm leveling up this game. So I came back here, and this is where I realized I'm an idiot, and I didn't gem my weapon before I got in there. So going back to, let's see, what were we talking about? I'm like completely lost. I just like all of a sudden was like, I gotta talk about this, and then my mind went completely somewhere else. We talked about the queen. We talked about the chalice dungeons. Her name is Yharnam, which is very interesting because there's a whole city named Yharnam. So is this city built for her, or built after her, or after what they found out about her? Maybe she's some kind of hero to these people, and maybe it's because it has to do with the blood, because like I said, when you fight her, she uses a lot of blood attacks. So maybe she's like the queen of blood or something like that, and that's the way they kind of look at her. So they created a whole, the people that split from Bergen, I would say, would be the ones that would have created this city over the ruins of some Thumerian kingdom, right? We don't know if the Thumerian kingdom was actually named Yharnam. We don't really know. It could have been named Loran, because we hear about Loran in one of the chalices. That could have been the name of the place, and it was led. But it's hard to make that connection and whatnot. It could be there, but you can definitely try to make that. But just kind of thinking about stuff. Oh, when you fight her in the dungeon, every time you hit her, every time it seems like you hit her, a baby starts crying, and if you keep hitting her, then you'll get stunned, which isn't good. So if you're fighting her, if you get down to fighting her, when the baby starts crying, stop attacking her. So you can only get like a couple attacks in before you get like stunned. Overall, that's kind of who that lady is, or that's what I think who that lady is, and I think a lot of other people will say the same thing. Just very strange. So the thing about her is in the storyline, I think I talked about this a little bit a minute ago, is that she seems nice, or she seems distressed, right? Almost like the distressful lady and the hero's got to save her kind of thing. She kind of has that feeling to her. She looks like she has her hands tied, so that might be why her hands are together the whole time. But she always seems like she's worried about something. She has that worried face on her. But that could just be the way we take her. Maybe that's really not the way she is. But again, like I was saying, we don't really know. Like I said, most of the time, I think those chalice dungeons is just like a way to name things and give you clues about what's going on in the real world, and not necessarily anything else than that. Just helping you figure out stuff, adding little pieces of the puzzle in there, and kind of rewarding you for going through it. That's kind of the way I look at it. But yeah, we were talking about Iosefka and her blood vial here, and I'm like literally no idea. No idea. I have no idea. But like, I think we were talking about how her blood vial was a different color and then everybody else's, and I was telling you about Adela, the nun, and how you find her in the unseen village. And at the very first time, and if you talk to her and you wear your church outfit, you get to see her again. You get to send her to one of the other places, either Iosefka's clinic or the chapel. And I don't know why I'm repeating all this, but if you send, obviously, like I said, if you send everyone to Iosefka, they turn into blue aliens. But if you send them to the cathedral, you get to talk to her, and she doesn't like Ariana. And it's really creepy, actually, because if you talk to Ariana and you face the direction she's at, she kind of like peeks her head out and looks at you. It's very creepy. It's like the creepiest shit in the game. Like, it's funny that one of the creepiest things in the game is her like peeping on you. It's insane. But her blood she gives you is called the let's see, like Adela's blood, or I think it's Adela's blood, but it has a thing on it. So it says the Healing Church nuns are chosen for their merit as vessels for blood and groomed as blood saints. The mere chance of being treated with their blood lends legitimacy to the Healing Church and communion. So basically the nuns are just full of this awesome blood, and they're groomed as blood saints, which is a very dark I think like a dark thing, you know, a blood saint. That's crazy. And if you get treated by their blood, it's just saying that, you know, this brings legitimacy to the Healing Church and their communion and what they're talking about. So that's kind of who she is. But she gets very jealous if you go to Ariana, and that might be because she's not of the lady of the church, because she's more of a lady of pleasure. Might be because of what she senses in her blood. Because remember, she has a blood that's not supposed to be used anymore. It's a blood that was once forbidden. So that might be why she feels that way. There's I think things that are going to be a little bit more explained between them two. But her blood is red. Ariana's blood is red. But then you get Iosefka's blood, and it is yellow. Or it seems to be in a yellow bottle maybe, and it's clear. Who knows what it is, right? It looks yellow in the description. And then you read it, and it's about that it's this refinement process, and that it's made in this clinic, and it's the top of the notch clinic thing or whatever. Refinement means that you're taking out of impurities, right? If you refine something, you're taking out impurities. Refined gold, right? You take out all the junk inside of it, and now you got pure gold. So in this case, you're getting pure blood. Pure blood of what, though? Of an old one, or a great one, I should say. Pure blood of, like, of a Thumerian, maybe? Maybe not. I don't know. But it might explain why fake Iosefka is there, because she wants that thing that she's creating for other purposes. Maybe to create the celestial beings that she's been doing. But she needs that thing she was creating. Now, why this blood is here, I don't know. That part I do not know. Is she involved somehow with the Thumerian Queen? Or is she involved somehow with Mensis and them? Not entirely sure. But we're about to head into this amazing boss fight. And I do die once to her, because I can never kill a boss on the first try. Actually, the only boss I think I did that with was Rom, who I thought I was going to have a harder time with on the video, and I ended up killing him once, or killing her right off the bat. You notice a lot of these bosses are hers, or dealing with her, dealing with a female, and I think that has a lot to do with the baby thing, the baby theme that's going on. And a lot of it has to do with that females are the ones that are able to produce the offspring, or these surrogates for these great ones, and that men are not so much able to do that because we don't have wombs. So I think that's kind of the thing that's going on, this that kind of has been as a theme or something in this game, you can really say. Look at this awesome scene. There's a baby carriage there. As you remember going through most of the game, especially once you start getting high insight, you hear babies crying every so often, and you hear murmurs and stuff like that. Maybe that has to do with this. And then you see a chalice in the background, and then you see this awesomely huge moon just like staring at us again, like almost like it's watching us as we go through these different areas, different planes, or different dreams, however you want to see it. And we are about to face what they call Mergo's wet nurse, who is a great one. So when you kill her, or him, or it, you get an achievement that says Great One, Mergo's wet nurse. So it seems like if you're like even like part of the Great Ones, like the Great One's janitor is still a Great One, right? Or Uedon's janitor is still a Great One. So as you notice, she's invisible. There's nothing on her that you can see except her arms seem to be visible, but you can't tell if that's wrappings around her arms or his arms. I guess it has to be a her, because if it's a wet nurse, that would have to be a lady. So this is Mergo's wet nurse. Now when you're fighting her, she's not, I don't find her to be too difficult. If you just let her attack and then run away and then just jump in and get an attack in, you should be fine. There is a stage where she goes kind of, you got to watch out for that. That has a very good range. There's a stage where she fogs up the whole area and then like 2 of them start attacking you, and it is about the scariest goddamn thing in the world, because when it happened to me, I freaked out. I didn't freak out until the second one started attacking, because what happens is she fogs it, and you'll see in a minute, she fogs the area up. You can barely auto-target her or see her if you're far enough away. It's hard to see where she's at. But she starts like acting like she can't see you either, which is kind of strange. But then this other one appears just like out of nowhere. It doesn't appear right away. It just appears kind of a little bit into it, and then all of a sudden you're getting, you know, you're getting whammed between two of these ladies, 2 of these wet nurses. Yeah. But they definitely get you there. But then that stage goes away, and I don't know if it's supposed to or not, but in my game, both times I fought her, it disappeared after like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that. It went away, and then you fight her by herself again, and I don't know, she seems super slow. She doesn't seem like too difficult. Just, you know, dodge her attacks, get that attack timing down so you don't get hit by her attacks as much, and just kind of go at her. Now the other thing I want to notice is if you look at the costume I'm wearing, you kind of look at the way she's meant to look. It's kind of weird that we kind of look alike, that we both resemble a crow, I guess. That's what I resemble, so it's kind of what it looks like she's resembling too. Maybe there's some connection there for some reason or another. Maybe the hunters of hunters are the ones that are going after you, the person that's the hunter of Great Ones. Or who knows, right? I don't know. It's just weird that you guys kind of have the same. This scared the shit out of me. When that happened, I almost shattered it. I almost threw my controller. Like, I was like, oh god, where'd that come from? I wasn't expecting that. And then this happened, and that scared me too, because that's just creepy. So a lot of creepy stuff. Look at that. That's so scary. That's popping out of nowhere. So that's kind of the boss fight in a nutshell. Just take your time with her, and I think that's just the biggest thing, is don't rush in and think you can get a million hits on her. Just let her attack, get around her, and then hit her once or twice, and then back up. Just in and out, and then you should finish her off. Heh 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 heh. So, but let's talk about Mergo's wet nurse and what she is and who she is and what's the reasoning behind her. It can get a little crazy here, because there's a way I look at it, and it's probably not the look at her weapons. It is basically the Mercy Blade, right? That's what it looks like to me. Just looks like a bunch of them she has on her hands. Just something to think about. Just, you know, give it a thought. Give it some thought. She has like an elephant head too. It's kind of creepy. Or like front of her face has got like a trunk on it or something. Just design. It's just cool to look at the design. She has a really cool costume though. Yeah, I died by her right there. She like one-shotted me somehow, and then she disappeared and reappeared. So zooming back to the next fight, and I beat her here. And Mergo's wet nurse. So is Mergo the name of the baby? Is where I'm gonna start with. A lot of people think so. A lot of people think Mergo is the name of the kid, and it could very well be. There are many ways to look at this. Mergo could be the name of the kid, but what confuses me is if Mergo is the name of the kid, then the item you get afterwards, and there's a lot of things that to me don't necessarily make too much sense if that's true. For instance, this whole area is called Mergo's Loft, right? When you teleport here, it says Mergo's Loft Base, Mergo's Loft Middle. You know, it talks of, you know, it's just saying that this is Mergo's Loft. And was this place built just for this unborn great baby? Is that what it is? That could be possible. I mean, that's not probably too unknown. Or is this like a tomb built for it? You know, kind of like the pyramids are built for pharaohs. Like, what is this place? It doesn't look too much like a tomb. It looks more like a cathedral or a place of worship than anything. And then the other side has like a bridge, and it connects to like a mansion of some sort. So, but this whole place is this baby's place? Like, I don't know. It seems, it's like I said, it's not unlikely. I mean, it's not that it's not possible, but to me, it seems a little unlikely that that's true. Also, this nightmare is called the Nightmare of Menses. So, and at first we thinking, you know, it could be like someone from the school at Menses. But when you kill Mergo's wet nurse, you get an item called the umbilical cord, or an item we've already seen called the third of the umbilical cord. And it's obviously has a different description, and it talks about, it basically says that this cord gave Mensis an audience with Mergo, and that led to the stillbirth of their brains, which is like the most, like, who came up with that sentence? What human being was like, this will be a good sentence, and came up with that? This is an insane sentence. It's, you know, just awesome. It's really actually very creative. But aside from that, so the thing that kind of comes to mind is, so is Mensis an actual person, or was it a person, right? And was Mergo a great one? Because if you gained audience with Mergo, maybe Mergo was a great one. Now, that's not 100% necessarily true. Well, the way it's been looking, right, it looks like that every time you have this cord, you have some kind of connection to maybe some great one or some not. But maybe there was like some kind of king named Mergo, right? And Mergo wanted a cord, and a guy named Mensis found one and was like, here you go, Mergo. When he found it, Mergo was like, I want to talk to this guy. And then they met and kind of gave stillbirth to the brains. I don't know. That's making stuff up right there. That's just like, I'm just saying that could be, don't automatically think Mergo is a great one. Now, I'm going to state that Mergo is a great one, but I'm just saying don't automatically think that, right? Because there could be ways that it's not. The birth of us, that it gave birth to us, it gave stillbirth to their brains, kind of assumes that somehow maybe that one of them was a great one and the other one wasn't. And in that essence, if it's true, Mensis would not be the great one, because he's the one that had to gain audience for the great one. So that would make Mensis human, or something of human. Maybe it could be through Marion if it was a long, long time ago. And Mergo was the great one. Now, the reason why I also say Mergo is a great one is because he has a wet nurse that's a great one. So, like I said, if the great one has like a janitor, then that janitor is a great one as well. Maybe not 100% great one, because remember, Rom was also named a great one, but really was more of a kin to great one. So the wet nurse can maybe be more of a kin and not necessarily a great one either. Or it could be a great one. You know, you can see it, you know, really either way. But regardless, she's something of not human, right? Because we're fighting her, and she's definitely not of human or through Marion blood as of yet, anyways. So that's the other reason why I think Mergo is a great one. Now that leaves me to who's Mensis. A lot of people I see are thinking Mergo's the baby, and that's not necessarily not true. Like, I'm gonna sit here and tell you that it's not, but then I'm gonna tell you that it's true right afterwards too. So it's gonna be a hell of a way to talk my way through this. But so the way I look at it is, actually, I'm gonna be quiet right here for a second. Nightmare Slain. So that's completely different. This whole game we've been seeing prey slaughtered, and now we see Nightmare Slain. So I was quiet there because I wanted you to hear the baby and what it sounded like, and then I wanted you to hear. I actually turned it up even more so that you could hear the baby or something breathing. I won't necessarily say it was the baby breathing, but you could hear something breathing or what it sounded like to me. And so here's the 1/3 of the umbilical cord. Same thing. The only difference in this one is this cord granted Mensis audience with Mergo, but resulted in the stillbirth of their brains. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go against what everyone's saying, because I can, and I want to play devil's advocate, and I like doing so. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm right. Don't think this is what I think is right now. Maybe one might make a video after I'm done with my playthrough about what I do think is right. I might put this in there, but for right now, it's just me thinking through things again. So, but I like playing devil's advocate. Everybody thinks Mergo is the baby. I think Mensis is the baby, and I think Mergo is the Great One. And the reason why I think this is because Mensis gave an audience to Mergo, but it resulted in the stillbirth of their brains. Mensis was the baby that was inside of the Thumerian. Well, right now we're going to say was the baby inside of Yharnam, the Thumerian queen. It could have been a baby inside someone else. Maybe the queen just has this distress signal for all these babies for some reason because it happened to her. Look at how effed up the hunter's dream is now. This place is going to shit. So to get through this, because I'm almost done actually, real quick, and then she says that the game's over. Go talk to Germon. It's about to all happen. So this ended it. This is the end of the game. If I wanted to end it right now, I could go to Germon and end this shit. Right? Choose my ending and figure it out. But there is some other stuff I want to do, so I'm not going to do that yet. But yeah, I said Mensis is the baby. So, and hear me out. Hear me out. The baby to me would have to be human, right? So, or in this case, maybe Thumerian, but isn't a Great One yet. So why would and then like I said, why would a place be named after a baby? If it's Mergo's Loft, why would they name a whole area? How did a baby name a building is what I'm trying to say, or why would anyone name a building after a baby that hasn't been born yet? Could be, I guess it's not out of realm of possibility, but I don't know, it just seems super unlikely that that's the way they would take it. The other thing is this is called the Nightmare of Mensis. It would make to me more sense if this was the nightmare of the baby than of anything else, because the baby was, I don't want to say violated, but hurt, or wasn't given a chance because the was given audience with the cord. So this is the way I look at it is Yharnam was a queen. She was given this right to have this baby from a Great One. And then what ended up happening is that because of this right, the baby was able to have an audience. Mensis was able to have an audience with Mergo, the Great One. But what ended up happening is the baby ended up stillbirth of their brain. It doesn't say stillbirth of the whole baby, just the stillbirth of their brains. Which also means that Mergo was destroyed to me, right? If Mergo, so that means Mergo, the Great One, and Mensis were both kind of killed. Which is very dark and very creepy and very scary. Really think about it like this because you're talking about a baby dying, right? Not very nice thing to happen, but that's kind of what happened, and that's why the queen's all distressed. Could maybe explain a lot more things if you thought out throughout the game. That's one way of thinking it, right? So the nightmare this nightmare could have been going on for ages. Maybe every so often when the moon turns red or something happens, right? This case happens and then you got to get a hunter. Who knows, right? But like I said, there's not many connections I've made yet. I'm just throwing this out there. I'm playing devil's advocate. Again, Mergo's wet nurse is the only one to survive, and she's still taking care of the baby, even though it still doesn't really exist anymore. And who knows, right? That could be one way. Or you can think of the other way and say Mergo is the baby. Or yeah, Mergo is the baby, and the school of Mensis, or the person named Mensis, was given audience to the baby, but when that happened, it destroyed the baby and the guy. And then that could have ended up what happening, right? That kind of makes sense too. So that's, I think, more of a general and quicker way of looking at it is saying that Mensis is the school or person from Mensis, or the guy named Mensis was granted audience with the baby Mergo, right? And what ended up happening is because of that, they destroyed each other, and that's kind of the sadness and all that was created from that, and that's how this nightmare exists. And your job is to end this nightmare, because right after that, so what's interesting is after you kill Mergo's wet nurse, it doesn't say prey slaughtered, it waits. You hear the baby crying, and then not crying, and then stop, and then you just hear breathing, and then it says nightmare slain. So why does it wait all the way till then, right? Maybe because the baby is now calm, relaxed, who knows. The nightmare's over though, and then that kind of ends the game. You can still go through some optional areas and stuff like that. You don't have to go there yet, but right now you could literally end the game. Just some things to think about. But I'm done for today, guys. I will definitely check you out later. Hope that made any sense at all. Thanks for watching. Later, guys.